Laura and welcome back to my channel 5 Minute Economics, where I teach economic concepts in a span of just 5 minutes. The topic for today is circular flow of income, which is a very important topic at school level as well as at undergrad level. So in this particular video, I'll be covering all you need to know about the circular flow of income, the 2-sector model with and without saving, the 3-sector model as well as the 4-sector model. So yeah, let's get started. Also guys, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel in case you haven't already, and follow me on Instagram at 5 Minute Economics. So guys, let me first introduce the topic to you. So what is circular flow of income? Circular flow of income is the flow of payments and receipts for goods and services between different sectors of the economy. It is called circular because it goes on continuously and indefinitely and has neither any beginning or end in a specific way. So in our circular flow, we'll be talking about two types of flow. One is the real flow and the second is the money flows. So real flow is basically flow of goods and services between firms and households. It's also known as the physical flow, whereas when you're talking about money flow, the name itself says it all. It is the flow of money between households and firms, and also known as the nominal flow. Coming to the economy, so the economy is comprised of 4 sectors: the households, firms, government and rest of the world, also known as the global sector. So guys, let me first begin with the basic and the most simple model, which is the 2-sector model without savings. Here we have only 2 components or 2 sectors, which is the household sector and the firms. So you notice guys, I have used 2 types of colors. One is the red one and one is the blue one. So the red line denotes the real flow, which is in bold, whereas the blue line denotes the money flow, which is in dotted lines. So what do we notice? We notice that in the upper loop of the diagram, households are the ones who are owning factors of production. What are factors of production? Land, labor, capital and entrepreneur. And when household offers that to the firms, they are giving rent, wages, interest, profit respectively in return for the services offered by the households to the firms. So in the upper loop, we notice that household is offering, the flow of services is going from household to firms. That is the real flow. Whereas firms makes payments to the households in the form of factor payments, which is the money flow. In the lower loop of the diagram, what does that happen? We notice that firms are providing the goods and services to the households. Household needs goods and services to survive, right? So they will be provided by the firms. And what are the households paying in return? Households are doing the payment for goods and services, which is an expenditure for the household but income for the firm. So I hope you're clear with this very simple model. So guys, let's move ahead to another model, which is 2-sector model with savings. You see, not much has been changed in the diagram from the previous diagram. Only few here and there components have been added. So in the previous model, we had assumed guys that there is no saving. Household tends to spend all the income he has on consumption. But is that even possible? Like hypothetical situation maybe, but in real life definitely not. We all tend to save a part of our income, for future maybe education, marriage or future contingency and whatsoever. So who does that? Households tend to save a part of their income. When they save that part of the income, they are withdrawing that money from the circular flow. So saving will be accounted as a withdrawal or a leakage in the economy. This word leakage is very much used when we are studying the circular flow. So make sure you're using this word. So savings represent leakage since they are withdrawing money out of the circulation. Now, coming to the next component, which is over here. So we see that savings are channelized through capital markets. Capital markets are those which channelize savings into investment. Now, we know savings are there and firms need investment, right? Firms need to undertake investment expenditure. What is investment expenditure? So investment expenditure is basically expenditure on producer goods or capital goods, which are used for further production of other goods. So consumer good may be like a Pepsi, but Pepsi plant, which is used to make Pepsi, is a producer good which is demanded by firms. So what happens is, through capital market, we channelize savings into investment expenditure, and investment expenditure further adds money in the circular flow, right? We are producing, we are injecting money, we are creating income for the firms. So basically investment acts as an injection in our circular flow. Few things should be noticed that guys, when savings are equal to investment, the circular flow is in equilibrium. Whereas when savings are more than the investment, then income flow declines. Why does that happen? Because more is withdrawing from the circular flow than being injected. Whereas when investment is more than the savings, then obviously the income flow increases. So I hope you're clear with these two models, because they two are a framework to the next two models which we'll be doing. So don't forget what we've already studied over here, and I'll be teaching you the 3 and 4 sector model now. So now guys, moving ahead to our 3 sector model. So what we studied in the 2 sector model with savings remains same, and this is which is already being taught to you. So I'm not repeating that again. What is new and additional is this particular part where we have added our new component, which is government. Okay, so this model, firstly let me tell you, is also known as a closed economy model, because there is no interaction with the rest of the world. It's only households, firms and government. So what we notice over here is that government imposes taxes on both households and firms, right? From households it charges income tax, whereas from firms it charges corporate tax. So money is flowing from household to government and from firms to government in the form of taxes, right? That's what they are paying. Also guys, government purchases services from households and makes them payment in the form of wages and salaries, just like how households provided their factor services to the firms. Similarly, they are providing to the government, and government is providing them factor payments in return for that particular service what they are offering. Similarly guys, what is firm offering? Firm is also offering goods and services, just how it was offering to the households, it's offering to the government, and government is obviously giving money in return for the services which have been offered. So what we notice is, you might be thinking, why have I only drawn dotted lines? Because in this particular model we will study about real and money flow both, but for sake of simplicity, whenever we are studying the 3 sector model, we only draw the money flows and not the real flows. Okay, so this is what I've explained to you. Now coming to transfer payments, which is a very important topic. So what is transfer payments? Transfer payments are basically unilateral payments, which are one-way payments, that is no return is there for it. So both government provides transfer payments to both households and firms, more to the households specifically. So what are transfer payments? Maybe unemployment allowance or widow allowance or pensions, all of that government provides, right? So that is a one-way transfer which is moving from the government to household. So here in blue I've written factor payments and transfer payments. Whereas the government is also providing some services to the firms, and it also provides subsidies to the firms which are budding. So that is what the transfer which happens from government to the firms. Now guys, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that taxes and government expenditure, what is occurring on for households and firms both, what are they? So taxes basically constitute as leakage, because it's withdrawing money, whereas government expenditure is like an injection in the economy, it's putting back that money in the economy. So what we notice over here, savings, which I've already told you is a leakage, and taxes, again a leakage. So both the leakages combined, if greater than both the injections combined, which is the government expenditure, and we see an investment, so we notice that income flow is falling if leakages are more than the injections. Whereas on the other hand, if our injections I plus G are more than S plus T, which is our leakage, then obviously the income flow will increase. Whereas if they are in equilibrium, both are equal to each other, then the economy or the circular flow basically is in equilibrium. So I hope you are clear with the 3 sector model. So now guys, going ahead to our last sector, which is the 4 sector model. Whatever you've studied by far, just keep that intact, because you will be using that. The diagram might look complicated to you, but trust me, if you've understood the whole process, it's you can draw it in minutes. So this part was already explained to you, the household, government and firm interaction. What is the additional part in this diagram is our rest of the world, also known as the foreign sector or the global sector, however you like it. So here we see rest of the world and households interaction first. So we all know that we tend to import goods from rest of the world, right? We all do that. So that is a real flow, which is obviously not shown because we are only showing money flow over here. Whereas payments are made for the imports to the rest of the world. So household is making payment to the rest of the world. Now, there are some people who are working abroad, they are selling their factor services, and they tend to remit their money, what they've earned, to their families back in, their own country. So that is a foreign remittance. Please remember, once we studied transfer payment, which is a unilateral payment, don't get confused with that. And now we are studying foreign remittance, which, people remit to the country where, their family is. So that is coming from rest of the world to the households. So this is the simple interaction between households and rest of the world. Now moving to the rest of the world and firms, how do they interact? So firms obviously export goods to the rest of the world, and for that export they are earning receipts for the exports. So this is the money flow which has been shown from rest of the world to the firms. Whereas on the other hand, we know that firms also tend to import raw material, machinery and all of that from rest of the world, and obviously they have to make payments to the rest of the world for the goods imported. So this is all which has been added, guys. We should know that imports constitute as a leakage because it's withdrawing money from our economy, whereas exports tend to constitute injection. So now you know what is a leakage, what is an injection already. Now the previous two leakages which we've studied, S plus T, we will add M to it, which is imports. So if they are equal to the injection, which is I plus G plus X, X being our exports, then obviously our economy is in equilibrium. And we know if leakages are more, then the circular flow falls, whereas if the injection is more, circular flow rises. So government also interacts with the rest of the world, but for the sake of simplicity, we don't tend to show it in the four-sector model. This is all about the four-sector model. Why do we study it? We study it to know what are leakages, what are injections. We study for the estimation of national income, and basically to study the interaction with all the sectors with each other at a very much of a glance. So I hope, guys, this video was useful to you. Please do like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video pretty soon.